She feels like she's conquered one thing, she's ready to conquer the next thing. And I think you got to make sure that you're not trying to do too many things at once, or you'll spread yourself thin. There's a good part in this, I think, about building affinity with you rather than the game that you're playing. And I think this is a challenge that a lot of content creators struggle as the game goes through these ebbs and flows. Like, his audience just drops completely. And one of the things that he's really working on is how do I develop a deeper relationship with my community so that it's more resilient in times of the game not being as hot.
Pokimane launches her new channel, Imane, to share content around her personal life. Imane is Arabic for faith and her first name. The channel will include random hobby vlogs, BTS, and anything she feels like doing other than video games. If you don't have to worry about success, what content would you make for your passion project channel?
I mean, for me, I've always been so deep into World of Warcraft. It's always been a game that I've wanted it to do well on my channel and like keep on playing. Some of you guys who have been in some of the mentorship sessions have heard me talk about this. I think we sugar asked it a few weeks ago even, but it's like I would love to get into some more of that, but it's like it's hard to balance it with everything else that I've been doing. I always thought about maybe doing like more personal content like vlogs and everything, but the hard thing with that is like so much of what I'm doing is inside working on content, working on like it's not quite active enough of going out and doing things. Although that would be really fun to do it and taking a new variation like that and traveling and doing a whole bunch of that. It always looks fun, but
I gotta give you some credit though. You've started like the gym was a big thing.
Yeah.
I think in the last year, like that was a different thing that wasn't there before. That is now a bigger part of your content, and then you've got family, right? That's also a bigger part of your kind of story around StoneMountain64 is how much of a family guy you are.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there's been changes on that front too. And even we've seen some creators like Eric's Gaming created video games, I think it's called, and like created some like second branch channels of like fitness channels and things like that. And it really is a cool way to do it. So, taking this aspect of taking kind of her main channel and then taking it more to the vlogs and creating a second channel around that it's very cool. And it's something that is relatively common to see, but the vast majority of people really only have one channel, only have one main focus of what they do. And even when I created my first second channel of Stone Mountain Plays, which was kind of a variation for my main content, which is kind of funny, top plays, more comedy series type things, and a few game highlights, news, tips, kind of a main show versus really just me playing the game and showcasing some of my own skills, my own entertainment value live in actual gameplay was the idea of my Stone Mountain Plays channel through my streams. Even that was a bit of a different take for my content to bring out some more of my stream content from it. That helped. It helped to elevate a lot of my streams, I think, and bring people over. And it just gave me a new outlet in general that also doesn't hinder the algorithm from it. But
what do you think the motivation is when you're creating? Is it if we step in? I think it's Imane. I confuse her name sometimes. I think it's Imane. And do you think her motivation is a growth? Like she wants to grow more, or is it like there's just other things I'm interested in and that I want to share, and I want to create the avenue to share those things? Because she's already crushing it. She's like one of the most successful content creators in the streaming space, at least of our time, and she's choosing to go do this, and it's extra work for sure. It's a lot more work to go do this.
Oh, let me tell you, it's going to be a lot more work. It's going to be a lot more work, especially when it's something new. And I don't know how many vlogs and things she does in general. I mean, I know she does a lot of like chatting, just chatting and things like that. But to me, I see it as like maybe it's something that's not necessarily like, oh, this is going to be a huge growth lever for me, and like, oh, this is what's going to get me from 10 million to 20 million. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what she's thinking through it. But I think even just thinking through like, okay, I'm going to do it. I've gotten good at everything that I'm doing now. I've hit even if it's maybe the numbers are still growing, maybe it's just a personal plateau of like, I'm comfortable with everything that I'm doing in content. It's cool to branch out and do like, okay, I'm going to commit to doing this. I'm going to create a new channel. It is a massive commitment, and it's super nerve wracking creating a second one because now you've got a whole bunch of new responsibility, especially if you already have an audience and like they're going to be wanting a whole bunch of content. There's going to be demand for it. You're going to get messages saying, oh, where's the next video on this or whatever. And we've seen that with like even like Syndicate or like Nade Shot, right? Like, people are still constantly demanding that content. But I think it's another awesome development that really can blow her up to a whole nother level, because when it's not specific around the game, now you're not just targeting audiences around games, but you're targeting the entire world, right? Like of whatever that is. Even if you look at like Sniper Wolf, who's another, I think she focused a lot more on actual video games, for what I could tell from her previous content. And now every time I see her trending, it's from reacting to some video and like doing more not necessarily gaming related content, and that's blown her up to a completely new level. So this definitely can be a massive explosive factor for, I think, especially with the interest that people probably have. But
there's a good part in this, I think, about building affinity with you rather than the game that you're playing. And I think this is a challenge that a lot of content creators struggle. We had Apostle OG, he's really known in the Spellbreak community, on the podcast the other week, and he was just referencing like as the game goes through these ebbs and flows, like his audience just drops completely. And one of the things that he's really working on is how do I develop a deeper relationship with my community so that it's more resilient in times of the game not being as hot. So that's why he's leaning a lot more into how do I create content where it's about me and not just about the game I'm playing. So whether that's on IG, whether that's on TikTok, whether that's vlogging, to your point, or even just chatting or hanging out more, how can I bring that more into my content so that I'm deepening the relationship with my audience?
And it's a hard thing to do. I remember the first video that really went mega viral for me. I mean, I hit a couple 100,000 views on my YOLO series and me yelling at people. I had other things go viral before, like my And We Are Live series, and do well. But like with this one, I made a whole video about it and talking about it, but people didn't know who I was. They never saw my face. They never, like, me talking, doing a thank you video got like a couple thousand views and nobody really cared. Like, they just want to see more of what that content is. So it's a difficult task to do it. But you do have to actually take steps in order to make that happen, because it's not just gonna, magically happen, at least for most people, or they'll figure out more about you. You know what I mean?
I think a big part of that is conquer one thing before you try and make sure you do a good job at one thing. And I think this is what, in line with him, Pokimane's doing here. She feels like she's conquered one thing. She's ready to conquer the next thing. And I think you got to make sure that you're not trying to do too many things at once, or you'll spread yourself thin.